Hi everybody, welcome back to ArdelleVision, where it is my hope to inspire you to capture the vision of your life. If you are new here, hi, welcome. If you are a returning visionary, welcome back. My hope seriously is always to just share with you the garbage of my life and my desire to just better it and to inspire you to do the same thing. Hopefully, fingers crossed, So I had a very different video planned for today. I always have a different video planned and it always becomes something different because basically I'm always, you guessed it, overwhelmed. I have visions of grandeur and I have like an idealized image of how I feel like each video should go, how my channel should be and all that jazz. And it ends up never being what I think it should be. And so I'm always feeling overwhelmed. I actually reached out to some people on some of my social media accounts and asked like, what is the one word that you feel like sums up your ADHD experience in your life? And everybody's answer was a resounding overwhelm. There were some other people that said other things like inadequate, frazzled, just different responses. I can't even think of them right now. Forgetful. Overall, the answer was overwhelmed. Like that's how I've been the past few months. Like I've been overwhelmed. And I feel like a lot of us can say that 2020 is a year that has pretty much overwhelmed most of us. 2020, I had like such an idea of how it was going to go, even after everything kind of went downhill. And I was like, I'm going to use all this time. I'm going to use this lockdown time and quarantine time to basically like get things done. And I ended up being overwhelmed by how much time I had. This year, the change had been overwhelming to me. When things are up in the air, it's overwhelming. Like I debate on whether or not I should get another job because my injury on my foot, it's just been consistently there. And so I work as a restaurant as a server, but it's what I know. So the idea of change, which I've done a desk job before and it's been okay, is overwhelming. Should I leave? Should I stay? The overwhelm of decision making has been so much for me this year. On top of the fact that I also want to move out of my apartment, or should I stay? Or should I move? I live on the top flight of an apartment, staircase, one staircase up, second floor. And that is like, with my injury, probably I should move, but I don't want to move because it's overwhelming. But the state of the world right now, what's next year going to look like? It's so up in the air. Who really knows? Like, I'm sure a lot of you were overwhelmed with the election season. I'm not going to get into that, but I'm sure a lot of you were overwhelmed by it no matter what side you were on. And things just even currently still to this day with regards of the state of the world, with everything that's been going on with a certain pandemic, it's just very uneasy. And so the world is just an overwhelming place to be in. And I'm really overwhelmed by the fact that my nails look like crap and I haven't done them in so long. Life is so overwhelming right now. If you agree and if you're overwhelmed and you want to share your thoughts in the comments below, let me know. So when you feel this overwhelm, what naturally happens for us with ADHD? I know what happens for me. It's like fight or flight mode. I basically become a deer in the headlights and I do nothing. I absolutely 100% shut down. I know a lot of that had to do with my situational depression. I know we talked about that last video, but for me, I shut down. Like I just don't do anything. I ignore it all. I've been ignoring my healthy eating habits that I had for a long time. I have not been working out. I actually canceled my gym membership because I'm Barococo. I've caught myself finding distractions. I've seriously been sitting and like getting really good at a stupid video game on the internet called Bubble Spinner, and sitting there finding pointless distractions with trying to catch up and keep up on all the news that's going, like binge watching the news so I can stay informed, but at what detriment? Like I was overwhelmed by how much news there was, and I was overwhelmed by the fact that I was not in the know, but then I was overwhelmed by all the information I was finding out. Like it was scary and it was overwhelming, but I was overwhelmed by not knowing and knowing too much. I need a tissue. And so with those overwhelms, I caught myself wanting to do stuff to feel productive, but I feel like I was finding menial tasks and kind of pointless tasks to make myself feel productive. Like at one point I found myself organizing my jewelry drawer. That is like the last thing that needs to be done right now in my life. It was making me feel productive, but it sure, in my opinion, was a pointless task. My apartment's still a mess. And so that didn't really end up serving me. So I was looking into things that I can do to make myself feel less overwhelmed. To start off, it's something I kind of got in the habit of doing, got a little bit out of it, but I've been doing this week, which was going on a walk out in nature, except when it's really freezing, I don't. And when it's cold outside, baby, it's cold outside, I sit and I pray, or I meditate, or I do breathing exercises, an exercise technique, or a technique that my therapist taught me about. I don't even remember what you call it, but it's basically like a visualization little task, or a visualization game. I can't think of the word right now. Is to sit and just really go down deep into the visualization of walking into a forest and painting a picture for yourself and getting yourself out of yourself and really being in the moment, in that moment, whatever it is. And so it was really easy to catch myself kind of going away with that. And it really got myself out of myself and gave me a moment of reprieve mentally. And it really helped me to calm down. One other thing I do is I meditate on Bible verses. I know I shared it in my most recent Instagram post, which is one of my favorite Bible verses, which is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, which is trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him and he'll direct your path. That is actually what my little tattoo kind of represents, him directing my path and trusting him, because I don't understand everything that's happened in my life. I don't understand everything in the Bible and everything, but I do trust God for myself. You might disagree, but one thing I do is I sit and meditate on Bible verses and I pray, and that really gets my heart recentered and focused, and it helps calm me down. Now, other things that I've looked into and I watched a documentary on, which is the minimalism documentary. It's not for everybody, but it's got some really good points, and I've looked into minimalism and I know that it's really good for people with ADHD, namely the fact that it basically helps you focus on the idea of simplifying your life and making choices easier. And like I said, choice is overwhelming for me. I mean, get me in a Cheesecake Factory and I'm overwhelmed. Like reading the novel of that menu, like chapter 1, small bites. Like it's just too much. One thing that we could do is start a task list. Start a list of the things that we want to get done and just leave it there so it's not in your brain. So at least you can go to like, well, what can I do today? Go to your task list. What is the most important thing that you can get done today or that needs to be done anytime soon? Another thing that I've really had to push my pride aside and my ego and my insecurity aside to do is to ask for help. You know what I'm trying to say? Get outside help, even if it's like motivation. Like my niece came over recently and I was like, oh, like just somebody being next to me just got me motivated to start putting things away and organizing the cluttered disaster that is my apartment. And before I knew it, like, oh, that took me like a whole 30 minutes and my apartment is basically all but clean. There are things that still need to be organized, but for the most part, like my life is getting a little bit back to like normal, and I get really overwhelmed by clutter. I actually genuinely usually have my apartment clean for the most part because it makes me feel calmer and less overwhelmed. So there's that. Ask for help, start a list, check off what's the most important thing, and you just know it's there. Even if you never end up doing one of the things that's on your list, like, I don't know, get your car detailed, at least it's there. It's something that you want to do. It's something that you can look and see, and you just know it's not priority, but at the same time, it's out of your head, so at least you know that you won't forget it. And I say that because I really want to get my car detailed and cleaned on the inside, and I got that as a Christmas gift, and I was so surprised. I didn't even realize that anybody knew that that was something that I wanted this year. I got such blessed gifts this year. I was really surprised by the gifts. I'm not usually one to expect a lot for Christmas. I've had years where I've gotten nothing, like, you know. Speaking of Christmas gifts, I probably had a way better Christmas. Is that proper English? A better Christmas than I expected because I had no expectations. So I changed my expectations on this year just a lot of the way through this year. And I don't know what we're going to be going into with 2021. And I'm not expecting it to be amazing. I'm actually going to change my expectations towards it. So I go into it with a realistic mindset of knowing that it might still be a challenge. You know, I still think that this year will be like the definitive year of challenging for me, but maybe not. Another thing that you could do to help with overwhelm is to start whatever it is that you need to get done or you need to do. And that task list, start with small little bite-sized piece projects. And to help you with that, you can, again, do bite-sized pieces of larger projects or just pick a small thing to get it done because it gives you that feeling of like, oh, accomplishment, which is really good for our brain's serotonin. Is that the right word? Serotonin, neuro firing, whatever, the feel-good stuff that we don't have a lot of production of. I can't even think of the word right now. Gosh, I'm so informative, right? One thing I've looked into is, and I've wanted to make a video on this, but I was too overwhelmed, is the Pomodoro effect, which is basically setting a timer and doing something for a small amount of time or a set amount of time, and then taking a break and then going back to that task for another set amount of time. It depends on what you want to set the timer at. You could do 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then give yourself a break and then get back to it. But you have a timer, you do whatever you need to do within that time frame, and then you know a break is coming around the corner. So it's not like this insurmountable, like, I gotta be working on this for like 5 hours. I know myself, I have these ideas of like ideal images of myself, and like I said, visions of grandeur of like, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna work on this for 5 hours, and then when the time comes, I'm like, oh, why did I think that I would ever actually do that? It's unrealistic expectations. That's all it is. So set that timer, use the Pomodoro effect, and get things done in bite-sized pieces, and it won't be so overwhelming for you. And then you'll actually get things done. This is advice, take it or leave it. This is what I've been looking into. This is what I've been experiencing in an overwhelming year, and going into a year that might be just as overwhelming. I know that I needed help to help fight my overwhelm, because I have just been feeling overwhelmed. So hopefully you got something out of this video. Let me know your thoughts by sharing below. I always love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, share it with anybody that you think it might help. Remember to subscribe and to click that gray bell to be notified at the moment I upload another video every week, every Wednesday, hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see. And you all must know by now that you are in my prayers, and I will see you next time. Bye.